Meteorologist Alexa Trischler now with me, and everybody is really concerned about this storm. It is somewhat of a relief to see it's not a Category 5 on the coast.
Right, still a major Category 3, but it is a relief that it's not a Cat 5. Ooh. And that landfall is happening a few hours from now, probably just south of Tampa Bay in that region. But it's going to push all that water just south of Tampa Bay. But it's the wobbles in the hurricane's direct path that we really pay attention to. And some wobbles are still possible. It's getting sheared up. So the exact landfall location will play a part in who sees the highest surge numbers, but it looks like Charlotte Harbor, Port Charlotte, that's where the highest of the surge could be, but Tampa Bay is still not out of the woods. They could still see extensive storm surge. Really just depends on where the landfall location is. This is the latest from Hurricane Milton. It's a Category 3. It's producing sustained winds at 120 miles per hour, gusting at 150. It's moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. Since it is getting sheared up, that's why the presentation is a little bit sloppy and the impacts are spreading across a large portion of the peninsula. So the landfall is just a couple hours from now. It will likely make landfall as a Category 3. Again, somewhere just south of Tampa Bay, maybe from Tampa, anywhere from Tampa to Sarasota. And then it will spread across the central part of the peninsula and maintain its hurricane status. It will be a Category 1 even into the overnight hours through early tomorrow. And then it will eventually move offshore to the east by tomorrow afternoon. So we have several more hours of big impacts across Florida. And they've been dealing with it all day. Several reports of tornadoes, destructive tornadoes too, and we're still experiencing a few tornado warnings across the east coast of Florida. This is what it looks like on satellite and radar. There's the eye. It's obviously expanding in size and landfall very close now, just south of Tampa Bay at this point. The heaviest of the rain looks like it's displaced to the north side. It is displaced to the north side because of the shear, and that is the reason also we're seeing those strong tropical storm force winds extending well away from the center because it's growing in size, and the impacts are even going to be spreading on the north side of the system. The tornado impact has been greatest across the southern part of the peninsula. Still talking several tornadoes possible across the southern part of Florida at this point. South Florida not out of the woods yet when it comes to those tropical tornadoes going into the rest of tonight and into the overnight hours. Current look at wind speeds at this point. So the strongest winds still happening offshore, but I mentioned those gusts are spreading well away from the center. Key West seeing a gust at 46 miles per hour. Apalachicola 33 mile per hour gusts right now. So we're starting to see those strong gusty winds spread across the entire peninsula. The worst of the winds, of course, will be felt near the center, happening anywhere from Tampa down to about Sarasota, Port Charlotte, this region, and then inland, since it will be spreading inland. And then those wind impacts also pretty generous, 75 to 110 mile per hour winds possible for the Orlando area, all the way across the east coast of Florida along I-95. And those impacts will be spreading in late tonight and overnight across the central and eastern part of Florida. So it's just going to be a big, huge, unfortunate mess for so many people across Florida. Hopefully everyone evacuated they were told to do so, because it's really simply too late at this point. Those strong wind gusts will be felt, the worst of it coming in over the next several hours for the west coast of Florida, Tampa Bay down to Sarasota, even into Port Charlotte. And like I mentioned, because the landfall location, it really depends on where that is, where the worst surge will be. But of course, the strongest of the winds felt right in that center corridor, which will spread across the central part of the peninsula and then to the east coast of Florida by early tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow in the afternoon, it'll be offshore, thankfully. So that storm surge potential has increased for places south of Sarasota, from Sarasota southward and into Charlotte Harbor. That's where the worst of the surge will be, because that's the south side of the storm. That's where all the water is going to get pushed onshore. So unfortunately, expecting 9 to 13 feet of surge from Sarasota down to Charlotte Harbor, 8 to 12 feet for Fort Myers. Still, Tampa Bay could see 6 to 9 feet of surge. It just really depends on the landfall location. And of course, the flooding rains will be continuing over the next several hours into the overnight, especially on the north side of the storm from Tampa all the way to Daytona Beach. And the reason being, again, that upper level wind shear helping to kind of tear it apart and bringing down its intensity to a Cat 3. Still a major hurricane, but the dry air and the shear, the reason why it looks a little lopsided, and those impacts are spreading across more of the state of Florida. Here at home, nothing to worry about, nothing much to talk about other than a great stretch of weather here for us. Beautiful sunny skies over the next week, and we'll cool down into the 70s by next Tuesday and Wednesday.